Hey, I am Miracassidy, luxury travel advisor, travel journalist, and motivational speaker, and you are watching Myra Cassidy Speaks Books, Travel, and Life. I am so happy to be bringing this information to you with some amazing content and bringing together three things that I absolutely love and enjoy: books, travel, motivational speaking, life, talking about stuff. I'm definitely a talker as well as a learner. But before we get into today's episode, and I have something very, very important to talk to you about, let me tell you a little bit more about me. Well, what I do as a survivor of domestic violence, first and foremost, is I book luxurious women's empowerment retreats. Along with that, I also book destination weddings, honeymoons, vow renewals, couple retreats, anniversaries, all kinds of good things, and fun vacations for families to Disney. That's a little bit about me and what I do. So be sure to, number one, call me. Let's get you booked. Okay. And then also subscribe to my YouTube page. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about what we're going to do, kicking off episode 1 today, show 1, and why exactly I'm wearing a swimming cap. Well, first and foremost, the topic of today's show is learn to swim. That is my very important message. Learn to swim. So I'm sure some of you absolutely do know how to swim, but a lot of people don't, especially those in the African American community. They don't know how to swim. And that is why what I have on my head is so important. Confession, I actually don't know how to swim. Okay, I don't know how to swim. I have a lot of fear that comes along with that. So thank you, Sheila Ruffin, for encouraging me to learn how to swim. You're never too old to learn how to swim. So the thing about this and why I don't know how to swim is, why don't I know how to swim? It's a very important question, especially since I took swimming in high school for 2 semesters. So long story short, I had the wonderful opportunity to talk to Miss Sheila Ruffin, who is a wonderful person and owns a yacht charter company. Within our talking more on that travel journalist piece that I do, she encouraged me, learn how to swim, and then sent me the link to SoulCap. And I really began to think about, why I don't know how to swim, the fear involved in it, and then thinking about what my issue was. But first and foremost, before I kind of go into that bouncing around, let me talk to you about SoulCap. I want to make sure I get that information into you. This on my head is something that is really, really important. This cap on my head is something that caused conversation and controversy around the world just a few months ago. This on my head was actually panned from the Olympics. Well, let me explain. SoulCap is a creation that 2 wonderful gentlemen came up with the concept of and put it on the market in the year of 2017. The purpose is to encourage those that have natural hair, be it locks, afros, to be able to have a cap that would cover their hair. Now, this size right here is just simply the regular size, but they get much, much larger. And that is the purpose for individuals who have these locks and these afros to be able to cover their hair and not worry about it while you swim. And of course, when you swim that chlorine in the water and all of that is very, very hard on the hair. One big reason why I personally don't know how to swim is that was a very, very big concern of mine when I was taking swimming in high school. I was required to take swimming for 2 semesters. And I was so worried about my hair. Middle school was really, really rough. I got, quote unquote, joned on a lot about my hair growing up as a tomboy, not really being into doing my hair and my nails. So my hair looked an absolute mess and I was talked about a lot. And it wasn't until 8th grade that I found a great beautician and got my hair done on a regular basis. So I was very, very concerned coming into freshman year about taking swimming classes and getting my hair done. So of course, that was one big thing, was my hair. And with what I did was when I spoke with Sheila Ruffin, I said, okay, she put that fire in me. I'm going to learn how to swim before the end of this year, 2021. Unfortunately, I could not find swim classes this summer. I couldn't find them. And because of course, COVID, a lot of places, and the places that I preferred to go, was closed. But I was just determined that I'm going to find a way to make this happen. I'm going to find a way to make this work because, number one, when I say I'm going to do something, and when I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I really make it a point to be about my word. Or if I can't be about my word, it's going to be a really, really good reason why I can't. So unfortunately, I just couldn't find, the right class. But that's okay. It's definitely going to get done next summer. This is the funny part about my story. I got so desperate trying to find a place where I can learn how to swim that I called up my older brother. I said, hey, bro, I got an idea. Why don't I book a hotel room for my family and for your family, and you teach me how to swim? And he goes, did you take swimming in school? And I was like, yeah, I took swimming in school, but I do not know how to swim. And part of the reason why, now don't get me wrong, your hair was out of reason not to go swimming, but also, for females in the course, if you were having your cycle, right? If you're on your cycle, you did not have to get in the water. And I didn't. My light days and my heavy days, I did not get in that water. I was on the side of the pool doing Jody Watley aerobics to pass swimming class. And then every Friday, you had the option to get in the pool or do aerobics. So guess what I did every Friday for a free day? Yeah. And that was biting me because I do not know how to swim. And our book for the week, we're going to talk about a wonderful book that kind of deals with that. And I'm going to share some more information with you about the importance of swimming. But I definitely do not know how to swim. And as a mom, I'm like, man, I should have made sure to put them babies in some swimming classes, especially my mother, ex mother-in-law has a pool. So throughout the years, and when I was married, I threw many pool parties for the kids. And as I'm thinking about the fact that I don't know how to swim and wanting to make sure that my children know how to swim, I had a conversation with my son, a few months ago this summer as I was looking for swimming classes. And I was like, baby, do you know how to swim? I mean, do you really know how to swim? He's like, yeah, Mom, I know how to swim. I know how to swim. I said, baby, shipwrecked like Paul. Okay, and let's break it down. Shipwrecked like Paul. Okay, bringing it to the Bible. Paul was shipwrecked more than one time, but shipwrecked like Paul. Baby, if they say swim to shore, shore is that way. Can you jump in that ocean, baby, and go? He was like, no, Mom, I can't do that. I said, baby, you can't swim. So definitely, this is a very, very big topic for me because I have no reason not to know how to swim, right? The pool was there. My ex-husband could swim, but long story short, that's something that I'm going to have to make sure that not only I know how to swim, but that my children can swim effectively and efficiently. Very, very important. But I do know that my hindrance, one big thing that I had an issue with was not having, something to protect my hair, and, being very, very concerned about that, especially coming back from middle school where I used to get joned on so bad. You should have seen the day when I finally got a professional stylist and came to school with my hair ironed out. Everybody thought I had a perm. I'm like, I don't have a perm. It's just ironed out. So definitely these swim caps are important, not just for individuals who have just locks and braids, it's just something that makes you feel, more comfortable as a woman of color having a swim cap. And of course, swim caps were available, right, for regular hair back then, but it was just this whole hair concept, which is a big issue for me. But I'm very, very proud of this Britain company for creating swim caps that fit all kinds of hair. And another reason why this is going to impact me is although I'm wearing a regular cap right now, in the summertime, I do choose to wear my kinky curly. That's just me. That's just my own preference. In the summer months, I wear my kinky curly. And then in fall, I just transition back and I just choose to iron out my hair from, those fall months all the way back up until it gets hot again. That's just my personal preference. So I will need definitely a bigger cap come, this summer when I'm going to take these swimming classes. So I am determined to learn how to swim. So getting into that, before I actually go from that, I want to mention something about the Olympics. The New York Times reported the reason why the cap was banned, and there was Britain Olympian Alice Deering who promoted Soul Cap. But the reason why it was banned, the New York Times reported this. The decision was made because athletes competing at the international events neither required to use caps of such size and configurations. They also went on to say that these caps do not follow the natural form of the head. So that definitely, the natural form of the, what does that mean exactly? And the natural form for whom? So definitely these caps brought about a lot of conversation this past year. My girls have a lot of hair. And let me explain something to you. Like I said, this is just a regular size. My girls, their hair, they cannot fit in this. My girls, I have 2 daughters and 1 son. My son's in the middle. My girls have a lot of hair. They have hair all the way down their back. So even a cap this size is not going to really fit their hair. We would have to go bigger or their hair is going to get wet. So definitely I appreciate these gentlemen creating something so fabulous for the African American community. And it's my determination that not only I'm going to learn how to swim, but I'm going to make sure my babies know how to swim effectively and efficiently. So getting to the book of the week. It's called Jabari Jumps. Can you see that? Jabari Jumps. I'm not even going to pronounce the name because I don't want to mispronounce it. One big thing, people call me Mira. I'm like, my name is Myra. So I definitely am big about names and not mispronouncing them, especially after a professional coach told me, stop letting people mispronounce your name. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I have to go back and tell people now who've mispronounced my name for years that it is not Mira. I just got tired of you guys mispronouncing it and just let it go. It is actually Myra. It is Myra. So it's going to be some interesting conversations when I go back and start correcting people. Jabari Jumps, though. See how little man is on this pool? And that's what it's about. Getting the courage to dive and take that dive. Now, this young man, Jabari, he had already passed all his swimming lessons. He just didn't get on the diving board and go for it. He had already passed swimming lessons and was very effective at it. But now this was a new thing. I'm going to dive off this diving board and having the courage to do so. So, he gets a little scared. He lets everybody else go before him. And then with help from his dad, Jabari decides to climb up that ladder and jumps. And then the beautiful thing about it is after he jumps, he decides, you know what? I'm going to do it again. This time a different way, a backflip or whatever it is he was trying to do. So that is my book for the week, Jabari. And I love the name Jabari. So here I am talking about messing up names. Jabari Jumps. Jabari Jumps. So definitely get that book. Now, when we do books and travel, I am talking about any kind of book. It could be a children's book, fiction, nonfiction, sci-fi, because I'm all about books, of course, travel and everything else in life. But not only are, adult books important, fiction and nonfiction, but also children books are very, very important. And encouraging our children, to read. Especially that's very important to me because I do have a child, my son, who's dyslexic. So I'm always big about and thinking about what I've done, and promoting reading and the joy of reading for him, which of course he does not really like to read a lot, but he loves a good story. But my girls, they are naturally just bookworms, right? And I definitely love the way the forward in this book starts. It's like a note to parents and teachers where it says, children learn to read and to love books when adults share their own pleasure in reading and language. And as a writer, hey, I've actually won an award for one of my books. I definitely agree with that. So Jabari Jumps is a great book. Now, getting into one more thing I want to share before I close it out today. Another really important reason why it's important for me personally to know how to swim, and I feel a little shame behind it. When I looked at this book and I wanted to talk about this book, it also resonated with me. The very last swimming party that I threw at my ex-mother-in-law's house, there was a boy who, I love very much, who went on that diving board like normal. Now, the interesting thing about this, so shame on me for not knowing how to swim. In my mind, it's like just the thing to do. Everybody wears a swim. Hey, can you swim? If you can swim, fine. You don't need to get a life jacket on. If you can't swim, here's plenty of life jackets. So I always make sure there's enough life jackets on. But if you know how to swim, fine. And her pool goes to 10 feet. So long story short, I want to share this story with you. This boy gets up on the diving board and I'm watching him. And ironically, I'm the only adult who was watching him on this diving board. You know how sometimes you have more than one adult present, and there were several because all the kids' parents were there. But it only takes a second for something to happen. It only takes a second for something to happen. And I happen to be the only person who saw this. This young man on this diving board, boom, goes up, bam, hits his head on the diving board, his face. I'm the only parent who saw this, and immediately I just kind of froze. I go, and everybody looks at me because I kind of shrieked and shouted. I'm trying to get out what just happened, but I can't. I'm just kind of like in shock. And especially the fact that, I've known this boy all his life, and so many things are popping off through my mind as I'm seeing this boy under the water. Now, for a person who knew how to swim, what would have been the next instinct, you think? Probably to dive in that water and grab that child and make sure they're okay. But I'm froze. I'm frozen. I can't speak. And I see, thankfully, the body moving in the water and coming back up. So I'm like, okay. And I tell his dad, come here, because I'm looking at him. I know what has happened, okay? And his face is bloody. I'm like, okay, he was on the diving board. He just hit his face. At the same time, I don't want to alarm him because I'm seeing all this blood. So I, explain what happens, and his dad pulls him out the pool, and he's like, your face is bleeding, son. Your face is bleeding, son. Everything turned out okay, but that could have turned out very badly. So there is actually, a little bit of shame there for the reason why I don't know how to swim, because that situation could have went very badly. And in all the years that I've, thrown these pool parties for kids, at my ex-mother-in-law's house, that situation, the very last one that I threw, it could have went really badly. So there is a little bit of shame there with me not knowing how to swim. And I'm determined that I'm going to learn how to swim because that situation could have went very badly. But one thing I want to say about the young man who hit his face, he's a tough guy, a real tough guy. So when his dad showed him that his face was bleeding, he was like, oh, because he didn't know. He was like, oh, this doesn't look good. And of course it looked worse than what it was, but he didn't want to get in the pool anymore. So I was watching him sitting on the side of the pool, and he's a tough guy. And I can see his eyes watering and his mouth like quivering a little bit, but he was not going to let anybody at that pool party see him cry. So he just sat there kind of like, he was about man, how old was he? Probably about, this was like pre-pandemic. So they're 17 now. So he's probably maybe about 15, 14. And he was just kind of sitting there, just kind of, real cool about it. Real cool about it. And I was thinking to myself, that dude's too cool. He is too cool. Because I would have been crying. Okay? I would have been crying. So really, really important. That's the really, really important message that I want to share today. Learn how to swim. It's very, very important to learn how to swim. I'm not talking about doggy paddle. No, learn how to swim. Learn how to swim effectively. I can speak. Learn how to swim effectively. Learn how to swim efficiently. It's very, very important. And that is my determination. So I couldn't get into class this year like I wanted to, but next summer, 2022, I'm going to carve out a piece of my time to really, truly learn how to swim and swim well. All right. I am Miracassidy, luxury travel advisor, travel journalist, and motivational speaker. I want you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube page and make sure to continue to watch Miracassidy Speaks Books, Travel, and Life each and every week. Share the content with your friends and keep it here. And be sure to contact me about those bookings. What do I book? This is what I book. I book luxury women's empowerment retreats, destination weddings, honeymoons, vow renewals, couple retreats, anniversaries, and of course, fun family vacations to Walt Disney. See you next time.